When Russia invaded Ukraine the first time in 2014, it also launched attacks further afield, using words as weapons, less deadly, but still dangerous. Brussels was the target of these missiles of misinformation.
It's a very coordinated, well-structured, highly supported and financed activity by a state actor that aims not only to portray its own view of the world, but sometimes even to undermine, to sow distrust, to destabilize also the targets, including the member states, the European Union, our institutions.
To defend the bloc against this information warfare, the EU's External Action Service created the East Stratcom Task Force and its website, EU versus Disinfo. At first, some EU officials and governments were skeptical this effort was needed. But Lutz Güllner says Moscow's continued attacks on Ukraine and threats toward its neighbors convinced them.
I think the pure facts of what happened on the ground made some of the member states understand that we have a real issue at hand, not only a faraway, abstract issue somewhere in the eastern neighborhood, but that we have a problem also inside the European Union, because a lot of these attacks have targeted in the past and are still targeting the EU as such, or the EU member states, the discussions, the discourse. And I think this has really led to a turnaround in thinking about this.
The East Stratcom Task Force has been joined by two others and seen its budget and staffing rise significantly. Martina Biljukevich has been with East Stratcom since 2018 and became its chief 2 years ago. She says things have changed a lot over this period, in ways both good and bad. Russia's all-out war on Ukraine is a huge factor, driving both Moscow's disinformation campaigns, but also, Biljukevich says, an increase in people seeking the facts from sites like EU versus Disinfo.
For last year, 2022, we had almost 3 million of people visiting the website only, which is a significant growth in comparison to our ordinary year before the full-scale invasion. So this is, I think, quite something. But to top it up, our campaign on social media, we're present on different social media platforms, actually gathered almost 20 million of views and engagement last year.
What those consumers are getting when they visit the website is a look at an exact Kremlin claim. Biljukevich says it's been proven that this is the best way to, in a sense, vaccinate news consumers against the false information. Then they see articles and evidence illustrating the facts.
Let me maybe walk you through this, perhaps this one.
And actually, I like this one because I did stories on this.
Okay, let's go. So here you can see the disinfo claim, yes, and it's quite huge. So you would have a summary and then a response.
Okay, so then this is the truth, that Russia transported dozens of migrants to these border crossings and then kept going further north as they were closed.
Yes.
So this is what we know happened.
Yes, and we also show links so that you don't have to take it at face value. You actually can click on the link and see, well, this particular story comes from the Barents Observer.
One particularly tricky tactic uncovered by French investigators is called a doppelganger operation. Disinformers precisely mimic a reputable news website, such as Der Spiegel or The Guardian, and fill it with fake news. East Stratcom experts fear they'll be seeing a lot more of this kind of activity, with elections for both the European Parliament and the US coming up next year. They're also trying to counter it in other regions of the world, and when propagated by other regimes than Russia's. With the greater complexity of these challenges, Lutz Güllner explains a new term is being introduced, which goes beyond just disinformation.
The term is called Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference, which is called FIMI short. It sounds very cute, but FIMI is actually a very serious threat in our societies, not only in the European Union. I think it's something that a lot of countries in the world are facing, and that is the deliberate interference in your own let's say, public discourse, in your own conversations, and for their own strategic objectives.
But Biljukevich says her team is ready and working hard to amplify its own influence.
What also keeps me motivated is the work with different communities, with different media, for example, with non-governmental organizations, with researchers. And this is where I think really we, as European Union, can provide value added. You know, it's going in the good direction. And so we really are part of a bigger community here, both institutionally and outside of the institutions, that strive for the same goals.
Constant adaptation is essential, but the same technology being used for deception can also be used for detection.